I have to wait until Cynthia says, right? Cynthia Light said.
Dr. Cho, Minister Cho, I'm here.
Oh, hi. Good evening, Cynthia. Hi.
Hi. We make it, eh? We made it.
Yeah, we made it.
That's good.
Thank you, Cynthia.
In the office, huh? Yeah. So we'll see how many people are going to be here. Okay. Sandra, Eddie, Jason, Judy, Margarita.
Okay.
We have about 5 minutes to go, Minister. And
Yeah.
we have to start right at 7 p.m. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Yeah. Okay, Mike, you didn't make closing remark. Oh, Dennis Yan is there. Okay.
for joining us. Our virtual program tonight is 7 p.m. And while we're waiting for everybody to check in, if I may ask everybody to please your phone or mute your screen if you are not speaking. When you are not talking, well, I don't think you are likely to speak except for the speakers. So everyone, please mute your mic because we heard a lot of background noise. It's very important that everybody mute your mic. Everybody mute your mic so that we can get on with this meeting. We only have 1 hour, so timing is very, very strict, and I really wanted to make the full use of this whole 1 hour. And we're going to officially start in about 1 minute, okay?
There's a user that goes by WLIFR. Please mute your microphone.
Hello.
I sent a message to the WLFR person to please kindly mute. See if they respond.
I think that is Wilfred. If there's a Wilfred on the call, please mute your phone or mute your screen. Okay, off we go. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining our virtual town hall tonight. My name is Cynthia Lai, and as your local counselor, I'll be the moderator for tonight's meeting. One of the many new things that we learned from this COVID-19 pandemic is the use of technology to meet virtually at the comfort of our home. And you'll see this is the beginning of something and many more of these kind of meetings going forward as the way of engaging our residents. First off, I'd like to welcome co-host of the evening, our local MPP of Scarborough North, the Honorable Dr. Raymond, who actually needs no introduction. After serving as city councillor for 25 years, he was elected as our member of provincial parliament in 2016. And we can't be more proud that he was appointed as the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility after the 2018 election. Also with us tonight are special guests, 2 leaders from our long-term care facilities in Ward 23 Scarborough North. They are Mr. Dennis Levesque, Chief Administrative Officer of St. Peter's and Paul, Dr. Joseph Wong, founder of Yihong Center for Geriatric Care. Both of them will provide COVID-19 updates at their facilities. We also have city staff tonight from the Transportation Department, Ms. Becky Katz and Alisa Kerbu. They are going to do a presentation on Active TO, the temporary bike lanes on Huntingwood Drive. Let's go to our agenda. You can see the agenda on your screen. And okay, before I go into the agenda, actually I need to acknowledge some of the staff that are on the call here. And we have Minister Cho's Chief of Staff, Mike Thomas, and Grace Fernandez, his staff, and also my executive assistant, Nick Dominali, and Jason Lung, who is the operator for this meeting. I can see a lot of other community leaders, like the Chinese Cultural Center of the Greater Toronto. They're joining us in our board. Dr. Adrian Zhang, Dr. and Mr. Alan Lam, and Denise is also here too. So let's go to the agenda for the evening. We only have 1 hour, so time is very tight. And the agenda will be, let's go back to the agenda. We have opening remarks from Dr. Cho, and we have special guest, Dennis Levesque, who will be addressing. They have 5 minutes, and Dr. Joseph Wong, founder of Yihong Geriatric Care, will have some comments. And then we will have city staff doing the presentation on the active TO Quiet Street and Cycle Network expansion on Huntingwood. After that, we will have a general questions for Dr. Raymond Cho, our minister, and then we'll have a closing remark from Minister Cho. We received a lot of questions, and given we only have 1 hour, what we're gonna do is we will do our best to answer most of the questions. And for those of you, and if we run out of time, what we will do is we will email you the answers, and then we'll reach out to you and make sure you get the answer to your questions. And you will see a few buttons on the bottom of the screen. If you hit on the people, that will be participant. And you hit on the 3 dots. There's a chat box when you hit on the people. There's a chat. If you want to chat, you can just type on the chat. And also, if you wanted to raise your hand when you have any questions, we do not expect we have so many questions to answer. So basically, if you have more questions, you can actually type on the chat box. When we have time, if we have time, then we will address those questions towards the end of this virtual meeting. Now we will go to the opening remark by our Honorable Raymond Cho, MPP Scarborough North, Minister of Seniors and Accessibilities of Ontario.
Hello. It's nice to see everyone here tonight. I'm so happy to meet so many people. First, I'd like to say thank you to Councillor Cynthia Lai for hosting this video town hall meeting. Cynthia is doing a great job as city councillor, and I should know, as a former city councillor in this world for 25 years. Now, I'm here not only to speak to you as an MPP, but also as Ontario's Minister for Seniors and Accessibility. June is a Seniors Month. It's time to recognize all the adults and communities across Ontario and the contribution they made to build the province, the beautiful province that we enjoy today. Seniors have worked hard all their lives and have helped to make Ontario a better place. I'm senior myself. When we were young, we raised families, we built this beautiful province, the best country in Canada. So we deserve respect from everybody. And their safety and well-being are our government's top priority. Our government knows how much seniors have contributed to this province, and we acknowledge those contributions. It is also an important time to come together to support seniors in our communities and recognize the positive impact they have had and continue to have on all of us. But since no more senior months, these are very challenging times. It really breaks my heart that over 2,300 people have died from COVID-19, that the vast majority have been the seniors. Seniors across the province must continue to self-isolate due to the danger of COVID-19. So while much of the province is reopening or getting ready to reopen, those over 70 years old are still at risk of social isolation. This is a huge problem of many seniors, people with disabilities. That is why this year's seniors theme is stay safe and stay in touch. Let me share some of the initiatives the private government and my ministry have taken to support seniors. I'm proud to say that during these challenging times, 175 seniors active living center programs have switched to operating remotely to help seniors stay connected while staying home. These senior active living centers are offering remote programs such as teleconferencing, online videos, one-on-one phone calls to help seniors stay connected from home during these challenging times. This includes the groundbreaking Seniors Center Without Walls model to fight social isolation. We are continuing our investment in more than 300 seniors actively center programs. Our government is spending $14.1 million on this sort annually. In April, we committed $11 million, I should say, to help coordinate the delivery of meals and medicine and other necessities to seniors. We have partnered with the Ontario Community Support Association on this initiative. If you or someone you care about needs this program, call 211 for more information or visit www.ontarioCommunitySupport.ca. In retirement homes, we've been working with the Retirement Home Regulatory Authority, we call it RHRA, and Ontario Retirement Community Association on infection control and active screening procedures. In April, we provided $20 million to retirement homes for this initiative. We have also acknowledged the heroic efforts of frontline workers by providing premium endemic pay. In retirement homes alone, this represents $118 million extra for their hard work. Thank you, federal government, for assisting with this program. Regarding testing, it's important that we test priority communities and those most at risk. All residents of long-term care homes have now been tested, and all staff and residents in retirement homes will soon be tested. Once completed, we'll begin retesting priority groups to try to stay one step ahead of this virus. Regarding long-term care, we have seen some of the challenges that the system has had in dealing with this public health emergency. The situation in long-term care was made such worse by the existing staffing shortage in these homes. The system is broken. We have inherited this system. This is why our government has announced that beginning in September, an independent commission to investigate long-term care. The Bureau has acknowledged the system has broken, and this commission will be the first step to fixing it. regarding the finance of seniors, also issuing double the guaranteed annual income system gains payments. Individuals will receive up to $166 per month, and couples will receive up to $332 per month. Those double payments will continue for 6 months and provide an additional $75 million to 194,000 vulnerable seniors who may need more help to cover essential expenses during the COVID-19 outbreak. In addition to these recent efforts, we have also been working with the government to develop a comprehensive senior strategy. This will help ensure all the adults remain healthy, active, socially engaged, stay safe and secure, and have the opportunity to age at home in their communities and participate in their labor market economy. We'll be sharing more details about this later in this year. Seniors in Ontario have told us they want to age at home and in their communities. And we know that during these difficult times, many residents, including seniors, are facing challenges making the property tax payment. Our government is also
Hi, Raymond, you're on mute. Or that we can't hear you.
Hello. Can we please unmute Minister Cho, please? Some technical issues, sorry.
You might have some connection issues, actually.
At the office. I think he's at the community office.
Probably.
okay. So our government will continue to do everything we can to protect our older adults who are the most at risk during the COVID-19 outbreak. Please take some time to reach out to older adults or person with a disability and help them during this difficult period. And feel free to contact my constituency office if you have any question and need assistance with any issues. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Cho. Very happy to hear that you're going to be looking after all our seniors. As one of these days, we're all going to be growing old. And in our ward, Ward 23, we have two main senior residents. We can call them long-term care. One is the St. Peter and Paul residents, and the other one is the Yi Hong long-term care and seniors facilities. We have invited both of our leaders from those two facilities to address us, to provide us and tell us about how they are coping with COVID-19. And I think we have been doing very well because of all these long-term care casualties. Our ward has been blessed. So thank you for all the hard work of the senior residents within our ward to guard all our seniors to make them to be safe. So without further delay, I'd like to invite Dennis Levesque, the Chief Administrative Officer from St. Peter and Paul residents, to deliver your comments.
Thank you, Councillor Lai, for hosting this town hall and for all your support in the pandemic, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My comments are in two parts. First, a general comment on what is happening, and then the second is a question for the Minister. Good evening, Minister Cho. St. Peter and Paul residence is at the end of its 13th week of COVID-free isolation. As a nonprofit retirement home, I've spent in excess of $80,000 to date fighting this pandemic. And those costs are both in terms of PPE and staffing, additional staffing. My concern is that the forthcoming independent commission into Ontario's long-term care system will not appreciate retirement homes for what they are, unfunded extensions of long-term care. And I believe that we are showing and demonstrating the role that we have in the care of seniors. Retirement homes are clearly doing a great job protecting seniors. The recent ORCA statistic on retirement homes and COVID-19 revealed that 94% of the 770 retirement homes in Ontario are free of outbreaks of any kind, including COVID-19. And I'm happy to say that after our testing yesterday at the retirement home, St. Peter and Paul residence remains one of the 94% that are free of an outbreak. The average age of residents also in our home is 92 years old. And that is greater than the average age in some long-term care facilities, making us equal in many ways to long-term care facilities. Yet we receive no funding. We receive no funding from the government. The introduction of pandemic pay highlights the need to increase base wages for nursing staff and housekeepers, but such a move is not feasible without government support for nonprofit retirement homes, as families are now paying in excess of $3,000 a month out of their own pockets. Therefore, Minister Cho, my question is as follows. Will you consider accepting the reality that retirement homes are extensions of long-term care facilities? And will you support subsidizing nonprofit retirement homes so that wages can be increased and services maintained without the cost being totally borne by families? Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Okay. Thank you for the excellent question. We have provided $20 million to retirement homes for active screening and prevention of COVID-19. We have also committed up to $111 million for pandemic pay for frontline retirement home workers. This is for the first public money that has ever been invested in retirement homes. At the same time, our government has acknowledged that long-term care system is broken and we are going to fix it. The Commission will start reviewing long-term care in September, and the Premier has set all options on the table. I'm anxious to see what the Commission recommends how retirement homes fit into this. By the way, I know St. Paul's, the St. Peter's and St. Paul, you're doing excellent job. I've been going there almost 4 or 5 times a year when I was city councilor. Now, because of COVID-19 and social isolation, I cannot visit there personally, but I know your retirement doing excellent job, and I'm working very closely with the Retirement Home Community Association, OCA. So see what we could do more, but that's an excellent question. But for the first time, our government making so much investment. Thank you for the good question. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Dennis. I think we all like to congratulate on St. Peter and Paul for being COVID-free, because it's very, very important that we keep our seniors safe. And I think you really, really want to congratulate you and your team in doing such a good job and hard work in combating this virus. Thank you again. And our next speaker will be Dr. Joseph Wong, who is the founder and chair emeritus of Yihong Center for Geriatric Care. Dr. Wong has been a community leader, and he is actually one of my mentors. And for community work, he has dedicated the whole life quality and in serving the community. And I have always been really respectful of what Dr. Joseph Wong has been doing in the community. And it's very, very coincidental that his Yi Hong long-term care home and seniors residence is in Ward 23, and we have very good close working relationships. And without further delay, I'd like to have Dr. Joseph Wong to say a few words.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm glad to be here sharing my experience, my suggestion to with you, Cynthia, and also particularly to our Minister of Seniors Affairs, Mr. Raymond, whom I also know for a number of years. Because of the COVID-19, a lot of the problems in the long-term care sector has been exposed. I believe this is due to primarily due to chronic underfunding, not over 1 year or over the last 5 or 10 years, but probably around 20 to 25 years. The reason why I said that is because for the last quarter of a century, at least as far as I know, from my association with long-term care sector, the government has been increasing the funding per diem to the long-term care homes at the rate of inflation. So on the surface, it seems to be it is okay. But on the other hand, someone who is in the medical community taking care of a lot of seniors, we know that when people get old, the cost of keeping them healthy, the cost of providing service to them does not only increase at the rate of inflation. It is much beyond that because of so much complex situation, medical situation beyond a certain age. So taking care of these seniors in long-term care homes is a very expensive business that we are in. So I'm not asking the government to increase much the funding to the long-term care sector, but there are several things that the federal and the provincial government could do without dipping very deep into their revenue sources. For example, I have been perplexed by the fact that CMHC has not been supporting long-term care constructions, has not been supporting the mortgage of long-term care institutes, which is really contrary to why CMHC was established in the very, very beginning. So I think that the provincial government and the federal government have to put their heads together to make sure that CMHC do support mortgage guarantee of long-term care homes. It is very important because if we have to pay commercial rates for mortgages, it would be a very expensive undertaking, and that is what we have been paying for the last many, many years. So the first thing I would Councillor Cho to do is to go back to your cabinet and talk to them and discuss it with the federal counterpart and make sure that CMHC serve what it is intended to do, that is to help our non-profit sector building infrastructure for the benefits of the seniors and everyone else.
Dr. Wong, thank you so much. You're touching on that subject. I totally agree with you. Now, because of COVID-19, I think that the federal government, they have no choice but to pay more attention. And that's another reason why Premier Ford said, we're going to go to the commission, investigate, and they find out all their problems. So when the commission approached Young Geriatric Center, by the way, everybody knows Ian does marvelous job, and it's time for you to give a direct input to the commissioner. Okay, I will mention it, of course, in the cabinet, but that's a good channel. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. I would do that.
You have other suggestions, I guess?
Other suggestion is not only that we need government funding, I think that it is about time that we also ask our own community and we as citizens of this province and this city that we should contribute something to support the seniors as well.
Yes.
So in
Yes.
terms of contribution, I think that we should probably relax the restrictions on how much the long-term care institutes or how much the long-term care homes can charge the seniors or their family members. And I'm fully supporting the fact that it should be government, community, and private individuals who are supporting the whole long-term care sector, because it is something that is so expensive that only depending on the revenue from the tax base is not enough.
Yes, I think on the city level, I think what I can do is just to streamline some of these approval process for long-term care permits. I mean, for the building permits and all those things. I think the Chinese Cultural Center, our community partners can all work together to make sure that it stays affordable and it stays, all our seniors are being well taken care of. So thank you so much. Thank you very much, Dr. Wong, for your input. It's really, really invaluable for us, and I think we're taking notes, and we will bring it back to the city as well as to the province, and then I will actually let the mayor know about this as well, so that he can actually have get his 2 cents into the federal government to make sure that CMXC will finance the long-term care homes. Thank you so much. Okay. On the agenda will be presentation from city staff on the bicycle lane as one of the part of the Active TO program. And after we have this brief presentation, we will go back to the questions with the time left, we can actually finish answering some of those questions that everybody has submitted. Thank you. And without further delay, I will turn the floor to our city staff, Becky. And Becky, you're going to do the presentation. Is that correct? Is Becky?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you
please
see
unmute yourself?
I am
Yes.
unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm going to turn it to presentation mode.
Yes. Everybody can see it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, thank you everyone for coming tonight. This is a challenging time, and really appreciate all of the care that you put into your community. Thank you to the counselor and to the minister for inviting us tonight to speak about a program that the city is leading. My name is Becky Katz. I am in the Transportation Services Division, and I work on various cycling and pedestrian safety-related projects. And I'm here to talk about Huntingwood Drive, but also to give an overview of some of the roadway considerations that we've taken in regard to the pandemic. So, as part of the city's response to our public health crisis, we have started a program called Active TO. And Active TO is made up of 3 major programs. One is called Quiet Streets, where we are doing some traffic calming on existing neighborhood streets where maybe there's not sidewalks or not room to get exercise or to physical distance, and implementing some additional traffic calming so that people of all ages can feel safe using their roadway. We're also on the weekends closing some major roads to cars. This is more focused on trails that we've seen really high congestion on the weekend. So that's like Lakeshore Boulevard in the west and the east, and on Bayview Avenue in the lower part of the city. So This is a program that both of these programs are looking for input, and if you have suggestions, you're welcome to send them, and I have information at the end of how you can do that. But tonight we're really talking about the third part of the Active TO program, which is the expanding the cycling network. So at the last council meeting, council approved an acceleration of 24 total kilometers. So Huntingwood Drive is one piece of a larger strategy of various new bike lane projects. The downtown core projects that you see here are mostly focused on reflecting the TTC subway line. So you have Bloor and Danforth, and you have University. Huntingwood is where we're talking about tonight. So Huntingwood, from Midland to McCowan, is in Councillor Lai's ward, and Midland to Victoria Park is in Councillor Carrie Giannis' ward. And we are proposing to move forward with the installation of bike lanes from Victoria Park to Brimley. From Brimley to McCowan, there is already existing bike lanes. So the question is why? In a time like right now, why are we thinking about cycling and various street interventions? And I think those are really good questions. And so part of it is to help people feel safe enough to choose cycling for some trips. There's no expectation that anyone would ride, for every single trip, especially long trips. But that maybe some people, if they had a safe place to bike, that they would maybe take their bike to go to a friend's house, to go shopping, to reach their workplace. Shepherd Avenue continues to have some higher bus and transit ridership. And so trying to pull off some unneeded trips so that people can physically distance on transit is important. It's also to connect key destinations. Ward 23 is rich in cultural centers, in trails, in schools, and places of worship. And again, giving people another option. It is not saying that everyone needs to choose this option, but that some people may, and if they're going to, how do we keep them safe? Also, we know that in suburban corridors, that many people will bike on the sidewalks, which actually can cause conflict for others who are walking on the sidewalk. So by providing a place on the road that's safe for people to cycle, we also typically see a reduction in sidewalk biking. There's many different benefits of cycling infrastructure that we've seen. It does help slow drivers down. Speeding is a major element into collisions and into car crashes, and so it can help slow people down, and it can help protect people who are walking and cycling. This is just a map. There's so many wonderful key destinations along Huntingwood Drive. There's a variety of different schools. There's different parks and green space. You can see that there's some really beautiful existing trails that this would connect to, that people in this time when their kids are home are looking for something to do with their families, and this is a good option. So right now, Huntingwood has a very standard, width across the whole corridor, not at an intersection, but in the middle of the block. For the most part, this picture is what the street looks like. It's two driving lanes, and then there's these parking lanes that you may know get utilized occasionally, but not so often. And then there's left turn lanes and right turn lanes at different intersections. And this posted speed limit is 50 kilometers per hour. And so, again, here's a photo of Huntingwood Drive and what it looks like today. If anything, it almost looks like there is this extra space. Right now, this is marked parking, but in many locations, this is not highly utilized. And so we'll be converting it into bike lanes with some additional buffer, bike symbols, and signs. And so what to expect in the Ward 23 section is a great question for this audience. Again, thank you for being here to talk and to ask questions about this. So again, same as the picture, it will remain, where the same amount of travel lanes for cars, but the side will become bike lanes. In some sections, there is room to keep some parking, and so if you have feedback that there is, a high need for parking, there is the ability to keep parking, but at this point, we don't have a proposal to keep it, as we did some utilization surveys, and it didn't seem so high need, but that's where we're looking for feedback. And then at all the intersections, the turn lanes that you use today will stay. So how does this impact you and the operations? So at this point, your driveway access, nothing will change. You should look both ways while entering, same way you do for people walking. Garbage and waste collection, there'll be no change. There's, the bus loading area at the public school will remain. Emergency services will not change. And Wheels Trans is allowed to load and unload as is normal along the corridor. So many of your existing services will not be impacted. And I think it's really a key point right now to say that something that impacts all of us, especially during the global pandemic, is that there's a lot of vehicular collisions. So there's a lot of crashes along Huntingwood Drive in the past 5 years. And when anybody gets hurt in a traffic collision, this adds additional stress on our healthcare system, along with very unfortunate family situations. There's been 700 collisions along Huntingwood Drive between 2014 and 2018. 161 of those resulted in an injury that required medical attention. One collision in a very serious injury, and then 15 of those actually involved someone walking and 10 of those involved someone cycling. One thing that we've identified through various studies is that again, speed is often the cause for these collisions. In lower speed scenarios, we typically have less collisions. In a speed study, we found that 36% of people driving along Huntingwood Drive today are actually traveling above the speed limit. And this is maybe potentially one reason that we're seeing higher collision rates along Huntingwood Drive. And of course, the faster that someone is driving, the more serious injury that would result in a collision. And this would also help to create safe space for everybody. So vehicular traffic would continue in their own lane. People cycling would have their own space to bike in. And then those who are walking and enjoying, the neighborhood would have their own space as well. So what's next? What to expect? Well, we're looking at the installation happening in July. We're looking for feedback, which is why we're here tonight, both to answer some questions, but we know that just one night is not enough for taking all the feedback and for you to share it with other neighbors who maybe can't be here tonight. We do have an email address that you can email us, and we can provide additional information to the counselor's office if you're connecting with her about this project. And that
Thank you.
My presentation. Yeah.
Thank you, Becky. So in the interest of time, I think for those of you who have questions on this and you have to digest it, and there's a website, and you can go onto the City of Toronto website to look at the more information. If you have any questions, please by all means reach out to my office, and we'll be happy to address those questions. And I just wanted you to know, well, I wanted to share with all of you that during the virtual council meeting last week, I was able to pass a motion as part of the Active TO program to have a multilingual road safety education campaign across the city. And I believe that educating road users, including drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians, to observe the law and to respect each other is a priority, especially communicating in a language that they can understand to ensure road safety in our ward. So my office will be coordinating with the city to launch extensive consultations to engage with residents regarding future bike lanes in our ward if we choose to have any. So just by all means, please, your feedback, your comments, please email it to active_TO@toronto.ca or email it to my office, councillor_Lai@toronto.ca. Thank you. And moving right along, and we have only about 15 minutes, we're going to ask some of the questions. And one of the questions I think is from a resident, Ivan Hong. He wanted to ask the city staff about bike lane on Shepherd Avenue East. It's not safe as there is a bus depot on Shepherd and Markham. So buses are always occupied 2 lanes when at shifts. What and how can the city do to solve this problem? Becky, if you please just address this very, very basic question. We're not going to put any bike lane on Shepherd, are we?
I think Ivan is asking if there's an existing bike lane, which I have to look. I'm not as familiar with this section of Shepherd. But what I can say is that we have many different ways to improve safety along existing
I don't think that we have any existing bike lane on Shepherd, no.
Oh, okay. So then, we are not proposing to install bike lanes on Shepherd Avenue.
Okay, if there were, any proposal would have gone through a consultation process with my ward. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Right along, next question. This question is for Minister Cho. General question. From a Teresa Lee. We get the daily update on COVID-19 cases in Ontario, but we have no idea about the confirmed cases in our riding. There is also little information about contact tracing in our riding. We have to dig through the newspaper and TV news to get the information. Could you send a weekly update on COVID-19 cases and contact tracing in our riding through email? The better informed we are, the more social distancing precaution we can take. Minister? Minister, are you still on the line? Please unmute yourself. Minister, please unmute yourself. Yeah, there you are. You can start talking, Minister. Can't hear you. Michael, can you please see what's happening?
Okay.
Yes, now we
The
are.
infection data is released by Ontario Health and it comes from local public health units. I don't believe they have collected and sorted the data this way today. The City of Toronto did recently release data from Toronto Public Health by neighborhood. I will speak with the Minister of Health to see what option we have so we can provide more detailed information. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Minister. Actually, the City of Toronto has some of these questions. Has released a map last week, and the map saying that they made an error. Our neighborhood, there's Agincourt North, and then they have Melbourne, and they have Milliken, and they made an error in misinformed information. We're supposed to have 46 cases, and they reported 301 cases. And then after they found out the error, because they compile the information with postal codes. They have since then rectified the problem. So we do. If you go onto the city's website, I think they are doing some regular updates on the COVID-19. They are still doing some contact tracing. Actually, the meeting that I had today, in the beginning of the COVID-19, we have a public health with only 50 people. And now the staff on public health, because of the contact tracing and everything, it has increased from 50 staff to 500 staff. So we're actually addressing that problem. So if you can go into the City of Toronto.ca/COVID-19, you'll probably find the map. Thank you. Thank you for the question. Next question, please. This is from Ivan. People are suffering due to closing of elective medical services, including dental, optometry, surgeries, specialist appointments, such as hand, foot, joints, heart and cancer, holistic, acupuncture, massage therapy, and physiotherapy, etc. In case of reopening, how can we mitigate the risk of chain transmission of coronavirus at hospitals and medical offices? Minister.
Okay, thank you for the question. It's very important that everyone follows the advice of Toronto and Ontario Chief Medical Officers of Health. The Minister of Labour has recently announced workplace guidelines for reopening. We have also announced regulated health professionals, like the ones you mentioned, can return to work once the governing body approves their plans. Thank you.
Next question, please. This question is from Dennis Nadeau of the Agincourt Lawn Bowling Club in our ward. Lawn bowling in the city in general, as it relates to the Agincourt Bowling Club in particular, is practiced mostly by seniors within the community. The distancing guidelines and withholding of play permits have had a devastating effect on lawn bowling clubs within the city. The social distancing has resulted in a lack of membership registration and associated fees. The lack of registration fees unduly burdens the club with standard fixed expenses relating to greens maintenance and permit fees to the city. And the Agincourt Lawn Bowling Club is finding it very difficult to meet those fixed expenses obligations. The question is, would you advocate on behalf of the club to have the city waive the full permits fees for this season, and would the provincial government to provide funding support to sustain the operation going forward? Minister, I can answer the city part, but you can answer the province part.
Okay, thank you for the question. Yeah, I think this is more of a question for the city, and so I will allow Councillor Cynthia Lai, maybe you could answer more in detail. Thank you.
I guess this question is we will be working very hard in trying to see whether we can waive the permit fee. But the challenge for the city is now we are about $1.5 billion in the hole. So we will be really, this is real challenge. I will be working with the city and see what we can do and help you on that. But in respect to the provincial side, Minister, I think there might be some senior funding that they can apply to. So maybe they can reach out to your office to see whether there are some fundings and how your office can actually help them, direct them into getting some funding and to help them to sustain the operation going forward.
Okay, we have a senior community grant program. So we'll see how we can help the Agincourt Lawn Bowling, okay? This is a great course, and when all the restrictions are lifted, I may come and play bowling myself.
Yes. Yeah. Let's do that. Yeah, and then we'll help them get some funding for it. Thank you. Next question is from Ron Fisk. The swimming pools in Toronto are closed to citizens, so they cannot get proper exercise in the pools, which can have negative effect on their health and well-being. COVID-19 cannot survive in chlorinated water, and and change rooms if capacity is properly controlled? Will the province and the city open tolls? Minister.
Okay, thank you for the question. As you know, we are reopening in stages. Higher risk activities will happen in later stages. Our government is working closely with the Chief Medical Officer of Health to determine the safest possible method of reopening the province. I'll be very happy to follow up with the Minister of Health to see if she has any additional information about swimming pools. If I will let Councillor Cynthia Lai know. Okay.
Thank you, Minister. And just to answer this question about the city, we have Aging Court Community Center. The pool has been there was a fire last year, and we were supposed to be actually opening. The schedule is going to be delayed at this point in time, so we will give you further updates on this one. Thank you. Thank you for the answer. Next question, Allura Moore. On June 2nd, Global News reported that upon analyzing recent data, they found a strong association between high coronavirus rates and low income, conditions of work, visible minority status, and low level of education. There was an even stronger association between neighborhoods with a higher number of coronavirus cases and those with a higher population of Black people. What are the City of Toronto and the provincial government doing to specifically assist these neighborhoods now that this information has come to light? Minister?
Okay, this is a very important question. As a councillor for 25 years myself, and a person of color, I have always fought for equality and fought against poverty. Our government has been very committed to working with the high-risk population regarding testing and prevention. The neighborhood data for Toronto that you mentioned was just released and isn't yet available province-wide. This is an issue I will raise with the Minister of Health and my cabinet colleague. I don't know if everybody watched today's 1 o'clock Premier's teleconference. The Premier made the announcement. You know, the gentleman called Jamal Javani is the representative of the Premier Council. He made an excellent speech. Our government making investment $1.5 million so that this money will go to the local organization for the youth, for the equal opportunity. So our government knows the issue and we're working very hard. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to add on Minister Cho's answers. And today I had a meeting briefing with city staff and the recovery and reopening task force that we are doing, led by Dr. Syed Rafi. We are having a lot of themes to doing this, and one of the themes are the vulnerable communities themes, and it's mostly for the equity seeking groups. We have 77 roundtables, and that consists of 1,000 participants in this group. So I'm sure with all these concerted efforts, I think we will find very, very good help for the people that are the vulnerable people and those needed support. And like Dr. Cho, Minister Cho was saying, we both work very hard. And we know that there are some vulnerable population in our ward that we should be looking after. So we will be keeping you informed of what's going on for this. Okay? And I think, given the interest of time, we're gonna have to skip to our closing remarks now, please. Closing remarks, Dr. Cho, Minister Cho.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Councillor Cynthia Lai again. This is the first video town hall meeting, and I'm really impressed. Almost 80 people participated, and I'd like to thank everybody who made an excellent presentation, including CG Step Bike Lane, Dr. Joseph Wang, administrator from St. Peter's Sample Retirement Home, and all the questions. So I really like to thank everyone. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. and Minister Cho. I also like to add on your and echo on your remarks, saying thank you for everybody who joined us tonight. I'd like to remind everyone that this is the beginning of the many, many virtual town halls as a result of COVID-19. And I will continue to listen and to work with all the community members, including the equity-seeking group and local business owners, to ensure we are part of the recovery process. These are important discussions to get input and to share impacts as well as possible opportunities for support and assistance moving forward. And for the questions that aren't answered, please, we will email you the response. And also, please do not hesitate to contact the Minister's office or my office should you have further questions or comments. And one last reminder I wanted to remind everyone, please put your mask on. If you cannot practice social distancing, it's very important that you put the mask on to keep yourself safe and keep the other people safe. So enjoy the rest of the evening, and we're looking forward to seeing you in our next virtual meeting. Thank you, and good evening. Good night.